What's up, YouTube? It's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class ORION PAX from Transformers 1. And before we take a look at the figure itself, we will first take a look at the packaging. He does come in up front. Here we have a picture of ORION PAX in robot and alt mode. You can see he transforms in 20 steps. Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 ORION PAX Hasbro there. On this side, we just have the rest of that picture, an Autobot logo, Studio Series Deluxe Class in many languages. On the other side, a profile image of ORION PAX with his little razor blade there. That's his name, Studio Series Transformers 1. On the back of the packaging, you can see we have a screen grab of ORION PAX from the movie. There's his name and the movie once again, and a little bio. ORION PAX works in the Energon mines with his best friend D16. Some other product images here, reminding you he transforms in 20 steps. A barcode there. On the bottom, nothing to mention. On the top, Transformers 1 ORION PAX Takara Tomy, and that is it for the package. And one last thing before we dive into the figure itself, ORION does of course include his instruction manual here. You can see there is a picture of ORION PAX, 8 and Up, Studio Series, Transformers 1, ORION PAX, and down here, Takara and Hasbro. And now moving to the figure itself, this is ORION PAX as he appeared in Transformers 1, and I think they did a pretty good job with this figure. Probably an upgrade over the Optimus they gave us a few months ago, but coming in close on the details, you can see up front you have that front windshield done in black with a little bit of picked out paint up here on these lights. Unfortunately, no silver used for the grille. It is just this light gray plastic. A little bit of silver above it though with the yellow there, but overall you can see some gold down through there. Coming down the side, you can see it is just his legs folded up, and you can tell, but you know, it's an Optimus. What do you expect? But coming in the back, a little bit of hollow in there, but that's just the way he transforms. Can't really complain about that. Coming back here, a little bit of yellow on the tips of the feet for some tail lights. There's the top. There is the bottom. He does have wheels here, and here, so he can roll along. And overall, I think ORION PAX in alt mode looks pretty good. And as far as accessories go, ORION PAX comes with 2. The first one being this little hologram here of the map to find where Alpha Trion was in the movie, but you can see, nice inclusion. They didn't have to include this, but it is from a scene in the movie, so I'm glad they did. So he comes with that, and he also comes with this massive razor blade that does spin, and you can see it's done in a gray plastic, painted with some gold and some silver here on the blades, but looks pretty nice. And these can all store here in the alt mode. We're going to store the big blade first. So basically you can see you have 2 slots right here on the legs, and you have 2 tabs right here. So basically make sure you slide this piece underneath the top here. Just slide that under, and then just plug those in on either side. Make sure you line them up and plug those in, and that's how that will store. And then you can bring in your little Cybertron hologram, and it will just port on right there. So just plug that right on there, and there you go. There is your storage in alt mode. And me personally, I don't really store this here, but I think this piece actually fills in the alt mode a lot better. I think it looks a lot better with that on there personally, but that's just personal preference. There are his weapons. And for some alt mode comparisons, just gonna do one figure comparison here, but here he is with the Studio Series TF1 Optimus Prime. So you can see there's ORION, there's Optimus, and you can see the difference. Both deluxe figures, this one is way smaller. But as you can see, he should be smaller because he's smaller in the movie. But I do think the color scheme on this version looks way better, personally. Me personally, I do prefer the bulky nature of this alt mode. I do actually prefer the Optimus alt mode. We'll get to robot mode later. But I do prefer the coloration on ORION PAX. Let me know which one you prefer in alt mode in the comments. And it was very brief in the movie, but hopefully I'm able to find a picture and say here is ORION with how he appeared in TF1, so you can see how close they got this alt mode to how it appeared in the movie. And I think that's about all to mention here in alt mode. I think they did a great job with ORION PAX. Is it the perfect alt mode? No, I do kind of prefer the Optimus alt mode, but the coloration on this guy is way better. In robot mode is where this guy shines. That being said, let's go ahead and transform him. So the first thing we're going to do is just come to the legs here. Just straighten those out like so, and we can go ahead and split them down the middle and just bring his toes up like so. And that was very simple, but there's your legs pretty much all done. Most of the transformation happens in the front of the cab here. So the first thing we're going to do is come under here, and you can see you have these two little tabs up in a notch here. So you want to pull this piece back, and you can see there's that notch, and those are the two tabs that went into it. You just want to pull that piece back, and then you can straighten the legs out like so, and you want to pull the crotch plate down. It will clip into place like so, and just rotate this whole section 180 degrees, and that will sit there like that. Now, as you can see, one side's already started doing it for me, but these pieces basically go over top of this red piece up in here. So you want to untab those and bring the arm out. Do the same thing on this other side here. You can kind of see how it's supposed to lay going into alt mode there, but untab that and bring the bring the arm out like so, and then take this piece and collapse it up in there like so. Then what we can do is basically take this whole shoulder joint, and you're going to get it out of there. So bring this whole section up like so, and just leave those arms like that for now. And I'm going to slightly raise the camera so we have some more room to operate. So the first thing we're going to want to do is come here, and basically this piece will shift downward like so, and you want to make sure you have those shoulder pieces out so that they can come up and tab in right there, and then you can bring the arm down like so. Same thing on this side. You can see you got a little tab there that will go into a little notch up in there. So just tab that in and bring that arm down. We'll finish the arms momentarily, but now what you want to do is bring this whole section down, and you see you have two slots there, two tabs there. Just bring that section down and tab that in like so. Then what we can do, come up here up top, and you basically want to get this panel out from over his head. I find it easier if you just go ahead and untab this whole back piece and pull it up. Then that will make that more easily accessible, and you have a slot there and a tab there. Just tab that in, and this whole piece will just rock backward. You might have to do a little bit of finagling. There we go. Make sure you might want to untab that to make that a little easier to get into place, but there you go. That's how you want that looking, and that's how you will have that looking there in the back. But then to finish up, we just want to take his head, get his head out like so, take his arms, straighten them out, bring the fists around, do the same thing here, straighten his arms out, bring the fists down. Then, last but not least, rotate his little smokestacks upward. The smokestacks are separate pieces. They are packed separately, so make sure you get those out of the box and tab them onto his shoulders. But once you do all of that, there is he is very little, Orion PAX in his robot mode. And yes, this is certainly where this figure shines, is here in robot mode. I think they did a great job with this robot mode, but coming close on the details, you can see that head sculpt there. It looks very, very nice. You can see done in the blue with the gray faceplate. There is some actually really good light piping. I'm not sure. Oh, you can kind of see it. You can see his eyes are blue, and he does the light piping thing, which is actually really cool. But overall, a super nice head sculpt. The chest is not a faux chest. It's the actual chest from alt mode, which is pretty nice. You can see the silver there once again with the gold and yellow from alt mode. But coming on down, some molded details and whatnot, but a lot of gray plastic, unfortunately. Coming down the leg, some silver and gunmetal gray. Some more silver here on the side. Yeah, that bit of yellow there on the toe once again. On the arm, a little bit of detail there in gray, but nothing too crazy. I do like the detail they included up here in the shoulder. But overall, as far as backpack goes, you pretty much have nothing. You have this little piece, I guess. But overall, cleans up super nicely, and just a really cool looking robot mode here for Orion PAX. And not only does Orion PAX look good, but he can also move very well. So the head is on a ball joint. It can look up slightly, down slightly. It can do a full 360 along with some wiggle waggle side to side. These shoulders can do a full 360. They can move in and out. If you untab them, they can also move like super downward if you need that to happen for any reason. Here at the bicep, you do have a swivel. You do have a bend here at the elbow, a double jointed bend. Actually, you have one there and one there, but you can't get much out of the second one, but you do get over 90 degrees of bend there. You do have wrist rotation, and the wrist can move in due to transformation. Super nice wrist articulation, especially for a deluxe. You do have, okay, so here's the one gripe with the articulation. He has a waist joint, but that is not normal. That is not that's not how that's supposed to work. That is freaky. That's something you would see at like a carnival or like a circus. That's just, nah. I mean, it looks good to about, right, not even that far, like right there, but then now. Yeah, he has a waist rotation, but I don't know if I would use it very much because he looks like he's broken in half. He can move that crotch plate up there and get some kick forward and kick way back and kick way out to the side. Not quite a full split, unfortunately, but very close. As far as thigh swivel goes, you just get it up top here. And you also get it right here at the knee. So nothing actually at the thigh, but you get some at the top and some at the knee. You do get 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And as far as the foot goes, you do, of course, get super deep ankle tilt. Whoa, no, okay, he can just break all of his bones. That's the point of this figure. They just want him to break all of his bones. Break his ankle, break his waist, why not? But due to transformation, the toe can move down, and the foot can also slightly move up and down. But overall, other than the one gripe with him looking like a circus character there with his waist, I do think he articulates very well. And if we bring back in Orion's accessories, these can both store here in robot mode. So basically for the first one, you have 2 new slots here, and you're going to use those same 2 tabs from alt mode and just tab that in there. And for this piece, it will just store in the exact same place as it did in alt mode. And he is pretty back heavy when you give him all of the accessories, so you do kind of have to play around with some joints, and he kind of has to have a forward lean, but he can stand with all of them in storage. But you can also have him wielding them. So as for the hologram, it will basically just tab onto his arm right there. So you can tab that on, and he can totally be reading the hologram if you want, and be telling D16, B127, and Alita 1 where they need to go. But you can also have him wield this super big saw, and I think this is the main reason they included the inward joint here on the wrist, because they basically want you to bend his wrist inward like so, kind of have all this straightened out. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this one, and it's going to go right in here, so just tab that in to that inward facing wrist swivel. And then you kind of have to swivel it down. You kind of have to play around with it to get this to work. But this other one will basically tab into this hand. So you kind of might have to swivel that down even more, kind of play around with it. Get that into that hand, and now he's going to be front heavy, so you're going to need to have him doing a back lean. But you can have Orion PAX drilling through the minds of Cybertron. And for some robot mode comparisons, first here is Orion PAX with B127, and this size doesn't really work out, but, you know, that's more aimed to work with the Optimus size, and this guy's obviously way smaller, so it's okay. But there you have Optimus with Bumblebee or B127. Here he is with Alita 1, with the bot that gave him the ability to transform Alpha Trion, with the Studio Series Megatron, and I do hope they make a D16 so we have them in scale with each other, but there he is with Megatron. For our final figure comparison, here he is with the Studio Series Optimus Prime from Transformers 1. And yes, in robot mode, I do think Orion takes the cake here. I think the coloration is way better. I do like the proportions better. Obviously, he is smaller, but that's the way it should be. He was smaller than Optimus in the movie. I can't lie, I do like the bulky nature of this figure, but it's not accurate to what was seen on screen. So overall, I think Orion takes the cake here in robot mode, but they both have their pros and their cons. I personally think they're both really good figures, but let me know which one you think is better in the comments. And for our non-figure comparison, here he is with a CG image of how Orion PAX appeared in Transformers 1, so you can see how close they got him to what they were shooting for. So this has been my review for the Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class Orion PAX from Transformers 1. And overall, this is a very solid figure. I do think overall he might be better than the Optimus Prime that they came out with a year ago. But he does also have his downsides. As far as the pros go, the coloration on this figure is way better than that Optimus Prime figure. The red really pops, the blue really pops. I love the way it looks. I love the accessories this figure comes with. The big saw, as you can see there, is an awesome touch. Love that, and the hologram is also seen in the movie, so that is a really nice accessory. Articulation-wise, this guy moves very well. The wrist rotation is something you don't get often on a deluxe class figure, and it's really awesome to see it here on Orion PAX. The downside of the articulation is that when you rotate his waist, as I've previously mentioned earlier in the video, it does look like he's breaking his hips. It looks like his waist is completely broken, like he needs to go to the doctor because he has dislocated his entire waist. But other than that, I think he does look and move pretty well. As far as transformation goes, it's a fun, easy transformation getting back and forth. I do have some problems sometimes with the arms going into alt mode, which can be a little bit frustrating, but overall, it's a pretty smooth transformation. Now, when you get to alt mode, I do have my gripes with that alt mode. You can obviously tell it's just a pair of legs hanging off the back, which is the case for many Optimus/Orion PAX figures, but I do wish they could have done a little better hiding that. And when he looks better with the accessory on him in alt mode, you know that maybe they did something a little wrong with the alt mode, and I do overall think the original Optimus's alt mode looked better than this guy's. Not saying this guy's was horrible, but just comparing the two for reference. But overall, I do think this is a really solid figure. If I had to rate him on a scale of 1 to 10, Orion PAX is going to get a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think he's very well done, and I would certainly recommend him in your collection. Definitely pick this guy up if you get the chance, especially if you were a fan of the awesome movie that was Transformers 1. So this is my review for the Studio Series Orion PAX. Don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I will see you all soon with more reviews, and until then, roll out. Peace!